All right, guys. Next up, we have Justin Doyle, the VP of AI Ops at Wallaroo Media. Now, he's going to talk about how your site is losing revenue and how you just don't know it. So, how AI agents can actually fix that. Justin, welcome to the stage. How's it going?
It's gone pretty well. I will say I did throw my back out yesterday at the gym. So
Oh,
I am on icy hot patch, ice pack belt and Motrin to try and, so if I squint, it's probably because I moved wrong. Uh,
I'm still happy you're here. I'm still
but
happy you're here. You look amazing. You don't look like you're in pain at all. And, all we need from you is to tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you help some of these amazing companies in this space. Um, I don't think you need
yeah,
to move much for this.
yeah. So, and I'm in a swivel chair, so I'm trying to stay stable, but no, I appreciate it. Yeah, we've been really excited for this because in this last year, we've been very heavily partnered with Triple Whale specifically. And I don't say that because this is a Triple Whale conference or that, you're, representing this or anything to that extent. Um, I've been working in design and development for over 20 years and recently came into the role of heading all things AI here at Wallaroo Media. And in doing so, as we all know, there's a million and one tools out there. And so when we started dabbling in the many tools, whether it's ChatGPT, custom GPTs, Claude, Gumloop, N8N, all these agentic tools that exist, we quickly realized that we needed to centralize. And when we started talking to Triple Whale, we even more quickly realized that it was the best platform to use moving forward. Um, and a lot of reasons why, but I want to get to the core of what I wanted to bring up, which is your site is losing revenue and you don't know it. And I want to clarify that statement. And what I mean is because you might be thinking to yourself, no, I know, like I'm watching my analytics or, I have this reporting dashboard or this or that. I'm not talking about any of those things. I'm talking about the things that silently slip through the cracks that unless you're paying either an expensive tool or a developer full time to track, if you're an agency, every client site, or just if you're a business owner, just your own site, tracking it every day for technical issues, any drops in the purchase funnel or anything like that, you're going to be missing things. So here's the reality of it. And this is just based off of our experience as, being a marketing agency and working with many, many, many clients in every industry. Perfection is expected. I think that a lot of people don't say that or don't acknowledge it out loud, but that is the crux of it all. When working, whether it's your own site or a client site, there is this underlying expectation that it's supposed to work. Things are supposed to be hunky-dory at all times. But the reality is you can't spend your full-time day monitoring the site. And I put in this subtext: invisible failures erode trust and LTV. Those are the unseen things that I'm going to kind of dive into here. So I know that this is a chat, format. So feel free to kind of comment away and, I'll try and take a glance here and there or answer any questions, at the end if needed. But this is my main question of who loves to look at the technical aspects of your site every day? Who likes to look at, if you're working with many developers or third-party companies because you're on Shopify and you have a bunch of apps that require, other dev teams and, heaven forbid one of them changes something without your knowledge and something happens to the site. Since you can't be there to manage, this is where something like Moby agents come into play. So again, the problem: silent revenue leaks. Things are actively happening on your site at all times. But I think it's really important to understand something, and that is There is no such thing as a perfect website. Does not exist. You know, even I mean, when I talk about this with anybody, I even like to say, you know, the biggest companies on earth that have billions and trillions of dollars don't have a perfect site, because you can run them through the technical tools and they don't get a perfect score, and they're constantly updating. And if they are, then essentially everybody needs to be. And that, you know, given in this AI era, even more so when we're trying to solve for the many things that can happen on a site. So this is kind of a then versus now. What has happened pre-AI? I've been calling it kind of legacy marketing, or legacy monitoring. So in this, I put traditional, but reactive alerts. So you're reacting to something happening. You're reacting to a client who says, "Hey, my site, you know, customers can't check out," or we just saw, you know, we went one full week without understanding that someone couldn't add this product to their cart. That's never a good conversation to be reacting to, especially if the expectation is that you're constantly monitoring. So obviously that trickles into manual root cause analysis, all of the alerts from many platforms, potential false positives. There's obviously a high amount of time that you have to spend constantly looking at it. And of course, as I said earlier, there are tools that exist out there, but they tend to be very expensive, and geared more towards enterprise level only, to be frank. So this is where something like Moby Agents come into play. Proactive alerts, automated root cause analysis, alerts how you want, you know, Slack, email, you know, you can connect them to task management platforms, you know, ClickUp, Asana, Trello, whatever. And it's based in real-time data, and that all is without any time spent by you. The silent revenue leaks. So what does that mean? So I put this key takeaway in every slide because I wanted to emphasize one thing from each aspect. So if at any point, you know, and I'll put in my LinkedIn after, and you can, you know, message me and I can send you the slide deck and I can talk through more of it. But even high performing stores bleed from micro failures. So speed regressions. I think a lot of people don't realize, even though many people have heard this a lot over time, people do not like to wait. It's plain and simple. My favorite analogy that I've ever heard from like a psychological standpoint was the average attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. And the average attention span today of an adult is 8 seconds. And why I love that, and that was actually based off of a scientific study that was done a few years ago, but why I love that so much is it shows that goldfish have a longer attention span than us as humans. And that just comes from all of the marketing and all of the things that happen on a day-to-day and that we're inundated with. And so that has changed our mindset, and especially now with AI, that speed and instant answers are becoming more critical. So when it comes to your website, you know, faster instantaneous load times, making sure that you get them from one part of the funnel to the next as quickly as possible. What a lot of people don't realize is if you make a content change, you add an image, you add a new page, you add an app, you remove an app, you do any sort of change on the site, you're changing the literal code, and that then affects the speed. Check out edge case bugs. So I mentioned earlier, we had a client who, before coming to us to ask about monitoring and such, they had a different developer who made a change to the site, and it actually stopped their cart on mobile, on iOS, from allowing people to check out, and no one knew for 30 days. And it took the CEO to wonder what's happening and then go to a screen recording done through some heat map tool and watch and see that it was broken. And I want to emphasize that the CEO did it, not anybody else on their team, on this developer's team. And that's just a crazy scenario because nobody was sitting there watching it. Again, we shouldn't be expected to. You assume things are just working. And then you go into tracking, pixel breaks, if pixels aren't properly set up or constantly, every few months reviewed, checked on to make sure that things are passing information correctly, bad decisions can be made, wasted spend can be made, and that all trickles down. So why do teams miss it? Again, coming from experience doing this for a long time, a lot of tooling and trying to monitor websites is reactive. We as people, as humans, are bandwidth limited. We have oftentimes many hats. We're doing many things, or, again, we can't be sitting there at the computer just watching the website all day, monitoring screen recordings and user experience, 9 to 5 or 24/7, 365, right? So, and then you add on top of, we get Slack notifications, email notifications, whatever, project management notifications, everything. So all those alerts get very noisy and it's hard to prioritize. So, between understanding that continuous monitoring is key, standard analytics just on their own are not going to get you all of the insights you need, and just the general alert fatigue. Those are some of the main reasons that we've seen why teams miss this type of thing. So enter Moby agents. First off, I want to shout out the fact that anybody right now can go to, given that your site's been set up within Triple Whale, you can use and chat with Moby as a chat function and have it build you any agent you want. And that's where we went to start, a while ago, and said, okay, this is what we're looking to do. We want to build an anomaly detection agent that watches the stored data, watches the purchase funnel, the conversion funnels, and then provides our team, an escalation of what matters, recommendations. This is what's happening. And does all of that without us having to even click anything. So a couple of the things to touch base on: anomaly detection. Okay, so what I mean by that is this isn't an agent that says, here's your conversion rate or here's your average order value. Those things you can get from other agents or just straight analytics. It's how does that information correlate to what's happening on the site from a user experience. Meaning, if you have a page that converts very highly and historically it's done really well, and all of a sudden it drops, then that should be an alert to you to take a look. Now, that could mean multiple things, and that's where this agent comes into play to do all of the analysis for you. It can look at the marketing, the ad spend, the email spend, where all that is coming from, all the source traffic, straight, Google attribution, organic or SEO attribution, pulling all that in. It can review all of that and then compare, is it any of that? Has any of that shifted? Or is it specifically based off of the experience on the site? Is there, clicks that are not going through? Is there a higher bounce rate because something changed on the page? So those are the types of things where you take that data and you marry it up with the user experience to say, oh, what's happening? Where is that happening? What's happening on the site? Site checkout probes to catch broken flows, latency spikes. So I mentioned that, pixel attribution. And what's great about all this is, although we really like the dashboard and UI within Triple Whale, it sometimes can be cumbersome to add one more tool to your tech stack, one more place to go look. So that's where the auto alerts are great. Have it send you, the report, the information, the next steps, the recommendations, wherever you get your notifications best. On the right, I have a screenshot of the output of this Moby agent we have running for a lot of our clients right now, which is showing it's a screen grab of the middle of the report, but I wanted to emphasize a couple of different things here where it shows it's reviewing the current day because it's a daily agent, checks every single day. and it compares it to the last week because we want a short window of relevant data, because specifically the screen grab is from a client that's constantly updating their site. So you can see, the session comparison, the new users, the add to carts, the orders. So if there's a big drop in value, then, it gives us that status, that alert icon to say, okay, we need to drop in there and take, another look. So then it goes into, critical drop analysis, and really it goes in. And as you go down this report, it actually just tells you, here's the recommendations, do this, 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 and this. And what's great is we've been using this agent for about a month now across multiple stores, and it works phenomenally. The client I spoke of earlier that went 30 days without realizing their checkout was broken on mobile, which is everybody's primary source of traffic, came to us and we told them about this, and we immediately added it. And the client specifically told us, they said, oh my gosh, because we have them get an auto email so that they feel the confidence that something is being watched and monitored. And they've thanked us for that extra set of eyes. And even on top of that, without us having to charge them more or do anything, it's just an added value. So how it works, how does the agent work itself? It's a simple pipeline. So step one, ingest. So in the agent itself, it takes the site's data, it does a comparison check. So again, I said daily versus the last 7. And then it compares other platform events, Google Ads, email, etc., and takes all that information. Step 2 is it detects. So based off of the rules, which you can customize to your own site, what do you want to look at? What do you want it to monitor? What pages? Is it the checkout? Is it, if it's even not an e-commerce site, do you want it to just monitor certain conversion drops, on key pages? So setting those rules, and then thresholds. What is a threshold? What I mean by that is, is it at this, if your conversion rate is normally 2% and your threshold is, okay, if it goes to 1.8 or below, then it alerts you, or it becomes, something to prioritize top of mind. So setting what those thresholds within the agent, so it has its guide rails. Step 3 is prioritize. So a revenue at risk calculation, and I'm going to mention a little bit more in just a minute about what that means, but basically it does the analysis and it prioritizes for you and tells you, here's what you need to look at next, and what you can act on, which goes into step 4, act, creating a task, a Slack alert, email message, assigns an owner, like you can have that trigger the next steps. So it goes to, you, if you're monitoring, if you're managing this agent, or your team, or whoever it needs to be. For an example, we've set up a Slack channel specifically for our client, where if there's an alert, it gets sent to that channel and tags key people. So the revenue at risk math, this is the thing that I think another unsaid thing is, execs see dollars attached, and alerts go from when they see that, alerts go from annoying to urgent. So whenever they see the money, they're like, yep, that is priority numero uno. And so that is something to just always be cognizant that with an agent, with a Mobi agent or multiple agents, you don't have to be technical to understand all of this, to watch it, to monitor it. And I wanted to end real quick with just saying, I've got 4 kids, and I don't know anybody else who does, but there's a series of books called Good Night, Sheep, Good Night, Gorilla, whatever, where it's just a book you would read to your kids. And I won't read it, but I created one that's all about automations, with this theme. So if you want that, I'll probably be tweeting and posting about it later. But that's what I had, and I appreciate the time. And again, let me know, anybody, I'll drop in my LinkedIn. You can DM me and I'll send you what we've got.
Justin, thank you so much. And thank you for being such a great cheerleader of Triple Whale. I mean, we are so happy to have you here today. That was so informative. Love to see you on a panel with us again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.